All right, so I'm not sure how long I want to make this video. I'm gonna see if I can do a quick version of it, and then depending on the feedback that I get, if you want me to do more expanded to really go into the different topics, then I guess I can do another video on it. But it's a lot of different points that I want to make. That just having conversations with other West Africans or really Nigerians, and some of the issues or some of the things that we wish our parents would have taught us growing up. But before we get into that, definitely want to tell you to come over to meetup.com if you're in the DMV area. Join my meetup. Got three right here. Whichever suits your fancy, definitely check them out. I'm going to start posting events for November sometime this week or maybe even today. So consider joining the meetup and get registered, and then you can see the meetups that I'm going to be throwing. Come out, meet some cool people, network, have fun, and potentially, you can always meet your mate as well. So everyone is always trying to date. So you never know, but definitely join my meetups. I'm big for just having community and making sure that everyone is we're all engaging with people that we normally won't come across, so that we can just learn more and get out of our comfort zone. So all right, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and add some music to this video so that I don't get stressed out, I don't get vexed too much. So here we go. So there's 12 different things that I feel, and once I become a parent, I'm going to do differently with my children, but let's see if you can agree on a lot of these points. So starting with the first one, dating. I wish our parents would have had a more realistic outlook on how dating is supposed to occur. A lot of them always just say, just go to school, don't focus on anyone, don't talk to anyone, school, 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 school. And they don't actually have a conversation with us when it comes to dating. So of course, what tends to happen when we go out into the world, we're going to start getting advice from online or just our friends or what other people are doing, and we just hide that part of our life from our parents. Our parents just see us going to school and doing whatever they want us to do, but they don't realize that we're having these conversations with other people. I mean, we're all sexual beings. We want to be in a relationship, or we want to have someone that we can engage with, talk to, be intimate with, not just physically but also emotionally and stuff like that. And if we're not going to get the information and advice from our parents, then we're just going to go elsewhere, and that's usually what happens. And in doing that, we make a lot of mistakes in our lives. So a lot of mistakes that could have been avoided if our parents just talked with us. So I wish that my parents would have talked more about just dating and relationships. It doesn't have to be detailed, but something to the point of just giving me some wisdom, some knowledge. Even though when they dated, it was back in different times, but at least just nuggets that would help you think about what you're trying to do. So, especially for my dad, I wish he would have given me some information on just dating women and things to think about when you become older and you want to have a family. The next topic, I know you all gonna agree with me on this, is sex. Parents, African parents. Well, I just know about West African parents. West African parents don't want to talk about sex at all. They don't want to bring it up, even when it came to. I remember when I was I was in sixth grade, and around that time they had those sex educational classes, and I remember my mom didn't want me to go into any of them. And then she wasn't teaching about sex myself, so she didn't want me to learn about. It was just ridiculous, and it's just, I remember. So I had, maybe I was in like fifth grade or something. I think I was in fifth grade when they had the first class, and my mom didn't want me to go to it. And then the second, when I got to sixth grade, that's when she finally relented. Was like, okay, fine. And it was really interesting, but our parents don't want to talk about sex in any capacity at all. And I think it's just the stigma that sex is wicked, sex is evil, and of course you have your bad, but you also have your good. But also you just got to think about, let's just say if you're a parent, or you want to be a parent, if you're not talking about sex, something that's very vital and just life, and there's a lot of dangers that surrounds it, how else is your offspring or children going to learn about it? They're going to turn to the internet, they're going to turn to their friends, and they're going to make mistakes that could have been avoided. So I wish there was just honest conversations about sex, what it means. I mean, at a appropriate age, usually around puberty. I mean, that's where you're going to start getting those ideas. I wish parents or African parents didn't just see it as a taboo and really took their time to, hey, this is part of parenthood. I got, like, my children are growing up. They're to the age where they can reproduce. It's in my best interest, in order to make sure that the family name is not shamed, to make sure that our legacy is intact. I need to instill some values. I need to instill some wisdom on how to navigate this, and I mean practical wisdom. Just saying don't think about it, or it's wicked, or it's the devil, is not helpful. Let me know if any of you all had that experience before, where they just think everything is just the devil. Anything like dealing with sex is the devil. It's not helpful, and it doesn't solve any problem. It doesn't solve any concerns that a lot of us had when we were younger. So when you become a parent, or if you're a parent right now and your children are still young, think about it. Like, if you're not going to give them the information, you will be a fool to think that that information won't find them. That information is going to find them, especially in this day and age where social media is everywhere. You can't escape it. There's a lot of debauchery online, and then maybe you have your locks on different websites, but when they go to school, those kids are going to start influencing them. You only see your children a certain amount of time a day if you're not a stay-at-home parent, and you're both working. How you think your kid is being raised? You don't know everything that's going on. So and I've came across, even just growing up, I came across a lot of kids where their parents thought one way, but once they left their parents' eyes, they were a completely different person. So you don't want to be that parent that's just naive and just thinking, oh, okay, sex is so bad and wrong, and I'm not going to talk about them at all. I'm going to make it. No, this is what I want to do for my children, is create a relationship where they feel comfortable talking to me about anything. I don't want it to make it awkward. I don't want them to be afraid if they do something wrong, or they think they do something wrong. I want them to know that, hey, you can always come to me. We can have these conversations. I'm going to have these conversations as well, especially as a father. You can't just be the mother. If you have daughters, the daughters, they have to listen to the father of wisdom and how guys think. So that's another point that I wish our parents would have taught us more about, or they should have taught us more about in life. Next one is education in school. So yes, we hear it all the time, especially if you come from a Nigerian household, but it's really all West Africans. Go to school, learn. I wish they would have taught us the whole point of school, which is, like, school is not just to find a job to work and pay bills. It's to be educated in a way that adds value to society, to your community, to just the world. And when you think of it in that way, then you start to understand that education is not just in a building where there's one professor teaching, especially in this day and age where you can learn more. I would say arguably you can learn more online than going to a university and paying all that money. You can learn more from going online, and depending on what it is that you want to do, learn more online and then by doing, so you could get those skills, those practical skills. I wish they would have taught us that, hey, yes, you want to be educated, but understand education doesn't just mean going to a school. If you feel you're not being fulfilled, or you're not getting what you need to get to, have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about, what do you feel like you're lacking in? What do you feel the teacher's not doing? In that case, you could start implementing different programs or different learning experiences that can also supplement what they're doing in school. If you don't have any option to take them out, do more extracurricular activities, and then get them into the process of understanding. You're doing all this so by the time that you get 18 or of age, you can manage yourself without issue or struggle. Big part of this is financial literacy. If you add value to the marketplace will reward you, and you don't have to worry about all the problems and all the issues that a lot of people are having right now. So I wish you just would have told us about, hey, what the whole point of school is, what's the underlying benefit of it. Yes, you want to be educated. Yes, you want to know some things. But if you think about it, a lot of billionaires were dropping out of college. We already know about Bill Gates. I think Elon Musk did so as well. Steve Jobs, I think he did so as well. That I can remember from the top of my head. So it's just like, okay, it must be something more than that. You could self-educate as well. If you have the discipline to do it, you have to have discipline, but you can also self-educate. The whole point is add value. If they would have told us, hey, you're gonna get this education, but the whole point, always think about added value. How do you add value? Be of service to other people. If you have service to other people, you will be rewarded handsomely. Nothing is gonna stop you. But they just see it as just go to school and get a job. And a lot of us come out of school not working in the industry or the field that we wanted to work in. So if that's you, I'm curious. If you went to school for something and then now you're working in another industry, leave it in the chat below. Where did you make your switch, and why did you get out of it? I'm curious about that. So that's education in school. Fourth point, I would say socializing. I can't tell you how many times when I was growing up, my mom was just so strict, and she didn't want me to talk to anyone, especially in school. She wanted me to stay by myself and not talk to anyone. Now, I know that it's different for different African parents. Some parents are more open and more of that, hey, friendly, and I get that part, but there's also a part where a lot of us just grew up in a household where we couldn't talk to no one. They didn't want us to, we couldn't have sleepovers with anyone. We couldn't, it's like really strict household. You can't really socialize like that. Couldn't really go to different dances and things of that nature. And I wish our parents just would have taught us the importance of making connections and building relationships. Because when you really think about it, life is all about relationships. If you don't have any relationships with people, then you can only go so far. So when it comes to business, of course, you want to have business relationships. When it comes to just your personal life, you want to have good friendships. Friendships can help you out in different times of trouble, or they can even enhance your life just by what you learn from them and learn from their stories and what they're doing in life, inspiration, all that type of stuff. Of course, you have your romantic relationships where you can match up with a partner and go through life and build something that comes after you. So life is it's really about relationships and understanding the importance of socializing. Crucial in your development. I was a really shy person because of just the strictness of, okay, mom didn't want me to talk to anyone. I did have friends, but I was shy. I was really shy to the point where when I got my report cards back from school, every quarter, they always write like, he's really quiet. I just didn't know how to engage with people. I didn't know how to start conversations. I would get nervous. And then when you get older, you get into college. I'm sure you all seen those people in college classes that have to do some type of presentation, and it's so obvious that they're shitting their pants. Like, they're so nervous. They're sweating, like they're like twisting their hand, and it's such an uncomfortable view for me. I don't like seeing people that are that nervous. So when I would go up, I said in my mind, I don't want to look like that person. So I guess I will fake it and just make sure, like, I will kind of look at it as I'm going into battle and I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to make sure I do not look like I'm scared. Do not look like you're scared. And it worked for me when I was doing my presentations in college, but I wish I would have had that strong foundation when I was younger, because hey, I probably would have been more outgoing in college and I would have gotten more opportunities. So the socializing, I wish that West African parents would have focused more on the importance of, rather than instead of just go to school and learn. Spankings. So spankings is a huge part in West African culture, as we all know. This one's a bit tricky. Yeah, I think too many West African, I'm not against spankings, but I think too many West African parents immediately get frustrated and they just want to take out the anger on that person rather than go to reason. And I wish West African parents taught themselves that, hey, just releasing your anger, it's not good, because you could start to affect them in a negative way. When they get older, they might just hate you. But a lot of us went through the spankings, we went through the beatings and that nature, and it's just because that's what they went through. I wish they, as we got into more modern times, maybe like 1990s, 2000s, I wish there was more just understanding of, hey, if that's always your first choice, that something is off. If you consistently, even especially when the child is young, if you're consistently having to spank them multiple times in a week or in a month, then there's probably an underlying issue that you're overlooking. I wish parents would have thought to that extent. West African parents would have thought down to that extent. But hey, if let's just say I'm first generation, my parents' generation, they're the ones that came over here. They had a lot on their plate, I guess. They had a lot of things on their mind, a lot of stress. So that's just how they thought best to manage that stress. So is what it is. But I wish a lot of West African parents would have taught themselves about the effects of spankings, or just observing other families and how they do their discipline. Next one is business. I wish West African parents taught us more about business and the importance of it, and how that's really the driver of success in a country, in a community, in life. I wish that part was more introduced to us. What's the point I'm trying to make? I wish it was more of a point of the reason for business, instead of just getting a job, applying for a job, looking for someone to hire you, because it starts to affect your mind. Like, one thing I like about entrepreneurship is it makes you turn into a person that's, you need personal development to be a successful business owner. You can't necessarily get that, or it's not as important to get that if you're just going to be an employee. So I see this in other communities, especially Indian communities and Asian communities. Of course, education is preached, but they also talk about, okay, like starting a business, because you're not going to be working for someone. There's always a family business going on in a lot of these communities, especially Hispanic communities. There's a family business, and then also some European communities as well, cultures as well. Well, they'll start the business will be a family business. Everyone contributes. So at a young age, a lot of these kids are understanding just money. When it comes to, just from what I've seen, our parents, it's mostly in the medical field. So a lot of them are just employees. Some of them will be business owners, but employees, and then just the mindset is just go to school and get a certificate in one of the STEM fields or something that you can make some money off of. Someone's going to pay you a lot of money. I wish there was just more talk on how you can be the person that's offering opportunities to other people, rather than you just in line with everyone else and you're just trying to get that opportunity for someone that's giving it out. I think that would have been good. The next thing that I see our parents should have taught us is financial literacy. Maybe a lot of them didn't have their own financial literacy. Like, nowadays, of course, it's more common to talk about investing, how to handle your money, budgeting. Now it's common, but back then, I mean, it wasn't as common. So I'm trying to be fair, but you did have certain cultures, especially from what I've heard, like Jewish cultures, where they always talk about money. They always talk about saving. I think it's part of the Torah, or in their culture, like you have to put money in the pot always. So at a very young age, they're taught about money and how to view it, how powerful it can be. It would have been nice if our parents took time to, even if they weren't doing the best, something basic like, hey, saving is fine just know how to manage your money. And maybe it would have been nice if they put us in a class. Imagine if there was, I just thought of an idea. What if there was like, it would have been cool if there was like a Nigerian business owner that decided, hey, I'm noticing that a lot of these African children don't understand money, or the parents, they understand the culture, so they know that parents are not teaching it. And they made a business on just giving classes to kids about how to manage money and how to build up their financial literacy. I think that would be that'd be pretty good. And they just pitch it to, like, maybe they could just go to the churches, talk about it. I think that would be really good. That's a good idea. So maybe you all can steal that one and work on it or add it to, who knows. That's actually a good idea. But anyways, I wish that financial literacy is just more taught to us by our parents, and so that way we want to have a lot of the struggles that we're having now, spending so much. Of course, understanding if we had a better, I think if we was taught financial literacy, we would have looked at college differently, a lot more differently, and just saying, okay, what's the return on the investment? The cost of college keeps going up. The starting salaries are not matching up with inflation and the cost of college. So it's like you're getting less free value, and then of course depending on which career track that you go to. So that's going on. And yeah, like it would have made us pause and think, like, how much time do I want to spend? How's my life going to look like afterwards? Is it going to be worth the money that I'm spending? I think that would have definitely made a lot of people think as far as pursuing a lot of these degrees. And as I said before, a lot of us went to college, got these degrees, and we're not working in that field. Either it doesn't pay enough, or we're just not interested in it. So it's just like, I guess it's a learning lesson, but wasted time. I think if us that are going to become parents, or our parents, young parents, to teach the next generation, like, hey, don't follow the exact same thing that I did. Do something different. Like, I actually had a conversation with one girl, or one person, whatever, one woman, that we was having sort of like it wasn't a debate. So I guess it was a debate, and basically she was saying that she will pay for her children's education. She was an engineer, so she was saying she'll pay for her children's education to go to college. I was like, okay, what if they don't want to go to college? What if they want to do something else? She actually said that she's not going to give them anything. And I remember I was looking at her, I was like, there's more opportunities available that pay more. You don't have to worry about the debt or the opportunity cost of being locked up in a university for 4 or 5 years. There's opportunities out there, and there's programs for that. And she was just like, I don't care. If it's not college, I don't care. And I'm just like, and I was just trying to get her to see, like, no, there's evidence that, hey, this is happening. The cost of college is really going up. The amount of jobs that are available is going down. Like, all this, she didn't want to hear it. And it's unfortunate, because I don't know if she's a parent now, but that is some archaic advice to tell your children to just go to college and everything will be good. And specifically talking about in the US, but just in general. Going to college is not a guarantee of success. You can have a master's, you can have a PhD, bachelor's, or whatever. It doesn't mean that you're going to get a job, or if you do get a job, you're not going to be fulfilled in it, or you're not going to be getting the pay that you thought you was going to get in. So to have that as the end all be all, I think is very foolish for parents to just tell their children that, because a lot of children are going to end up in a situation like a lot of us, which is they got a degree that they don't care about, and they feel like they have to work in it just because they paid money for it. But anyways, yeah, that conversation we were just going back. She just couldn't, I kind of got her to concede to the point where, because she was just being so ridiculous with her position, that it's like, there's no way that you can tell me, So anyways, I wish our West African parents would have taught us more about just financial literacy and how to use that to our benefit, and how the world is changing. So, I mean, now this is advanced stuff, but it would have been nice. I'm just saying. Another thing that I wish our parents would have taught us about is marriage. So not just the wedding. I think that's a lot with the mothers and for the girls, but just what marriage actually means, And this culture is a Western culture, American culture. It seems like maybe it's just online. And I know there's a difference between African culture. It's starting to change a little bit, but African culture and American culture, where African culture, there seems to still be that seriousness that you're not getting divorced or you're supposed to be doing stuff for each other. When I look at American culture and just how the men and women think, it's more so we're still independent people and we're just trying to do our best to get what we want, and then since we're cool, we like each other, then we'll just stick together. So in this case, I just wish our West African parents would teach us more about the different areas of a marriage, how you're gonna be frustrated for years now. I'm not married, but just talking with other married people, there's gonna be points in time where you're just frustrated, you don't really like your partner. What's the point of the marriage? Duty, it's to bring on the next generation. It's not just about yourself. Or sure, I mean, of course you want to have your alone time, but you don't just do whatever you want to do because you feel like it, like you're single. The selfishness, not being that can be a part of it. Honoring each other, making sure you don't bring shame to the family. It would have been nice if more of our West African parents, instead of just saying school, hey, when you're in college, especially for the women, I think it's more important for the women because of the biological clock, to tell the women like, hey, yes, I would like, as the parents, both mother and father, yes, we want you to go to school and want you to be successful. We want you to be educated, but at the same time, you got to understand that, hey, if you want a good partner, he's probably in that school with you, or he's probably older, or like that type of, like, what is it that you want out of a marriage? What is a marriage and what it actually means, rather than what you see online. I think more conversations about marriage would have been good, because there are a lot of African parents that are in marriages where it's just loveless. They're just there for the children. They're just sitting up there, put on a facade that everything is a big old happy family, but really they sleep in separate beds and like they don't have sex or anything like that. Like just imparting that wisdom to us when we're young, as we get older and older, and then we start, oh yeah, this is what I remember, this is what I seen, and stuff like that. Or in the flip side, hey, what makes their marriage work? Why? What are the traditions that they're doing? Because when we get of age, or we're really of age now, at least the people that are watching this, it's just like, do we have the same mindset of staying together and commitment of staying together like they did years ago? Because now it's just all about options, and that can mess with someone's head. So that's another one. I'll say another thing that I wish our parents would have taught us about is life planning. How do you want your life to look like? How do you want your life to be? So this goes back to the marriage part. It's going to be different for the men and women, I think. So this is what I would, if I have a daughter, this is the conversation I'll have with them. I'll say, okay, when they're a certain age, maybe around 11, 12 or something like that, I'll just have a sit down with her and say, okay, these are the tracks of life that you can go off. You can't have everything. Whoever told you that you can have everything, or you know how people say, oh yeah, women can have everything, you can do whatever, there could be mothers. No, you can either, you're gonna compromise with something, because you can only be in one place at one time. And what I'll tell my daughter is, if you want a family and you want to be chosen, and at the same time you want to have the education, you got to know how to balance everything. You can't be so tunnel vision focused that you don't pay attention to the other aspects of your life that you do want to have and you do want to maintain. Because what I see a lot, and I've had this conversation with other African women, they focus so much, and actually personally know one where they focus so much on their career, they pretty much aged out. They wanted to have children, they want to have a family, but because they only just focus on the career, that's just all they focus on. Even in school, they didn't talk to anyone. They aged out and they're by themselves. Now, one particular person I'm thinking of, she travels, I don't talk to her anymore, but She was a traveler. She was doing that type of stuff, and she actually does family. I mean, I don't want to say any specifics, but it's a real thing, like just family planning, especially when it comes to the guys. It's like, okay, well, if you want a certain lifestyle during your 20s, you need to be focused on getting to that point. You can't be making mistakes. You can't be loose with your seed. You can't be getting into confrontations with people. There's dangers out here. You need to be planning on your journey of what you want to do with your life, so that when you do get into a healthy age, even if you're younger, let's say 30s, mid 30s, or whatever, you have the option. You've created your future essentially, because you was thinking about how you want your life to be. You was working on it. You made adjustments on the way, but you was working on it. You got to where you want to get to. I wish our parents would just teach us more about. It's not all about just finding a job. It's also about quality of life. You want to travel a lot, doing it multiple times in a year. How many children do you want, and how are you going to pay for those children? What impact do you want to have in just your community, West African community? Like, what do you want to be known as? How do you want to, like, do you want to do something for your family members, like back home? Like, what is it that you want to do? Okay, if you want to get there, then just reverse engineer. What will it take for you to get to that point? I wish our parents would have helped us think more critically about how we're going to plan our life, so that we can we have a greater percentage of reaching success. I wish our parents would have taught us more about that. That ties into the next point. I wish our parents would have taught us about legacy. So it's not just about us. Life is short. When you really look at it, when you step back and just look at the history of life. So average, we will live around 70, 75 years, maybe 80 years if we're lucky. What's 80 years out of 5,000 years? It's nothing. What's 80 years out of 1,000 years? Or 500 years? Like, it's really short. So you shouldn't be. I wish it would have at least got us to think that. Don't just think about your life and yourself right now. Think about what's to come after you. Do you want a legacy? If you do want a legacy, how do you want that legacy to look like? What do you want it to be? What do you want? If you want children, what do you want your children to pick up from? How do you want to continue the family name, the family legacy, the empire, whatever you want to build? How are you going to continue it? I wish our parents would have taught us more about, hey, this is what your grandparents did. This is where we're at. Now, what are you going to do? And what are you going to leave for? What are you going to leave for your children? Of course, this is age appropriate. I mean, I guess you could start younger, but you won't really understand. But as you get closer and closer to adulthood, I think I believe these conversations are very vital to a success of just anyone, a person, and also just their community, because now it's not so much about you. I know in this day and age, everything is about, at least in the United States, it's so much narcissism. Everything is about your happiness and all this selfishness. And it's like, okay, well, this is how a nation breaks apart. This is how a nation collapses, because everyone is just thinking about themselves. So I believe just if our parents would have taught us more about legacy, we would have made more choices about our decisions, been more critical, and definitely plan a lot more. So the 11th point that I think our parents should have taught us is just more about personal development. So so we're forced in. So we had, a lot of us were raised in a strict household. He was raised in a strict household. He was forced to go to school, or we was heavily encouraged to go to school. Don't get into too many social activities or social activities at all. Like, just on the go. And yeah, we don't really think about what do we like to do on our free time and just unwind and relax, or how to do that. It would have been nice if just our parents would have taught us about, okay, well, definitely want to relax, but also you want to continue to improve yourself. That's kind of far away from just the job portion of it. Like, how do you make yourself better, and how do you get to know yourself so that you can be better? So just an emphasis on just personal development. It's huge for me, but just like, how do you develop yourself? How do you be a better person? It's not just by going to school and listening to a professor. How do you become a better communicator so that you can get more of the things that you want, because you can communicate effectively? Like, this type of stuff, it only enhances your life. I wish our parents would have had that insight, or at least would have talked to us more about that aspect, how we make ourselves better, not just by going to school, but by focusing on the other areas of our character and our personality in order for us to get what we want out of life. That would have been great. I definitely would have benefited from that. And then the 12th point, the last point, this is big. It's consistent. I wish our parents would have taught us the language, because so many of us grow up, we heard the language. A lot of us heard the language growing up, but wasn't taught, or we didn't hear the language growing up, so we don't know anything about the language. I'm trying to learn Yoruba right now, and I'm taking tutoring classes, and it would have been so much easier if my parents spoke to me when I was younger. And I think this is what just a lot of parents do when it comes to America. They want to get away from Nigeria. They want to build a new way of life. They don't want their children to be speaking native tongue when you go to school. I don't know. I mean, there could be multiple reasons, but I don't know why I don't know the main cause for so many parents not to teach the native tongue to us. So they should have taught us that, because then when you come in certain situations with different elders or adults that are from your tribe, they will try to speak in their native tongue, and then what you have to say, oh, sorry, I don't speak it. And then it's kind of like oh, why don't you speak it? I'm like, okay. It's like, it's not up to me. I'm learning now, but it's not up to me. So that part sucks. And then what's just going to happen, because a lot of us don't know the native tongue, when we have children, what you think is going to happen to the children? They're not going to know how to speak the language. And then by that time, so that's second generation, you're pretty much, the culture is just eroding. And that's natural. Like, if you're in a different country, different culture, as the generations continue on, you're going to lose that culture. It's just going to happen. By the third generation, I believe that it's pretty much all done. So if your children have children in this country, they're not really going to have a connection to back home. They're just not, because they're not there, they're not surrounded. If you don't know the language, you're not passing that down. Maybe some foods, maybe you don't want to cook the foods because it's not as healthy. Now everyone's health conscious. It's just so much that goes on that it's just starting from the culture. So I wish our parents would have put more emphasis on the language training. And I mean, because I see Hispanic parents do it all the time. A lot of Spanish, like, they know English and they know Spanish. And especially when it comes to businesses, depending on who the customer is, they can speak the Spanish, they can speak the English, and it's just like, man, I wish we was able to know our language that well. But I guess since it's just a few of us out here, it's not like we're a significant portion of the population. That's just how it goes down. That's just life. So those are the 12 points that I wanted to bring up. If you have anything to add to this list, or one of these items really affected you when you was growing up, then I definitely would like to hear it. Just leave it in the comment section down below, and let's definitely talk about it. I'm really curious to know your thoughts and what you wish that your specific parents would have told you. Now, of course, I'm talking in general, just from my experience. Every item I said doesn't apply to all West African parents, but just from my experience, the majority, I would say it pretty much all falls in line, and then my own experience as well. So if you have something different, then I'll definitely like to hear it. So I hope this video was definitely informative. I hope you laughed a little. I hope you learned some things. I hope you reminisced on your childhood and things that you liked. I hope you take some of the content, some of the ideas that I was saying, and you apply it to when you're a parent and what you would do differently. So that's it's always good to reflect, and always, hey, if you didn't like something when you was growing up, then maybe you can change it. You can get a different outcome in your own children. But in the meantime, if you haven't already done so, go to meetup.com. If you're in the DMV area, definitely search for my YouTube, or not my YouTube, but my Meetup groups, and take a look at them and join them. I will be listing the different meetups that's going to be occurring in November. So definitely be on the lookout for that. I mean, of course, you have to join first. Get the app also. If you don't have the Meetup app, it's just easier when it comes to the notifications. So join my meetups, join the community, meet some new people, step out your comfort zone, and yeah, get to know more people and network more. What else I got? Yeah, so if you look at this video's description, I have a whole bunch of links that can be of useful to you, be some value to you. So definitely look at this video's description. Always look at my video's description. I always put content out there, and or links to just different stuff that can be of usefulness to you all. So definitely check that out. And if you found this video valuable, then share it. Share this video with your friends. Definitely like the video, of course, and then subscribe if you haven't already done so to my channel, so I can continue to grow, continue to help and influence more people, so that we can be smarter and wiser, and we can accomplish more things in life. So I'll catch you in the next video.